Good day and welcome back to another DBZ Dokkan battle video. In this video we are going to take a look at the Majin of Destruction Buu Kid, or as I refer to him, Kid Buu. So this is the brand new DFE, one of the two brand new DFEs as a part of the Fight for Fate. In terms of the campaign, it's a dual Dokkan Fest, so we have this and Physical Goku. He is a Battle of Fate or Majin Buu Saga lead of 170% and attack and defense of HP and attack 170% and defense 130. He raises attack and defense for 1 turn and has a medium chance of stunning the enemy. In terms of passive skill, he gets Ki +3 and attack and defense of 180%, plus an additional attack and defense of +30% with each attack performed, up to 120% in total. He will also launch an additional attack that has a medium chance of becoming a super attack, and he recovers 20% HP at the end of the turn in which an attack was received. He also has a great chance of nullifying unarmed super attacks directed at the character. So he looks pretty damn good. In total, his entire buff works out to something like 516% once he has taken his full attack, and he also has an active skill. This active skill can be activated when you are facing a Majin Buu Saga category enemy, or after your character or Majin Buu has received attacks 6 or more times in battle. Once he activates it, he will receive an attack and defense buff of 20% in battle for the rest of combat. He also has a pretty decent skill set for a Majin Buu character, so he links well with Majin characters, and we'll talk about that later. But he has Majin, Brutal Beatdown, More Than Meets the Eye, Big Bad Bosses, Infinite Regeneration, The Wall Standing Tall, and Fierce Battle. In terms of categories, his main ones are going to be, well, pretty much anything he can be on. He is a very good unit, and he can still do well without getting the majority of his links. He has Ki +3, so he doesn't need the Majin link for Ki. He should be fine. But here we're going to run him on a Majin Buu Saga team. It's more an extreme centric team. Obviously, I do not have the Kid Majin Buu, so I'm going to use the Strength Vegeta or the Strength Goku and Vegeta unit, and they are going to be my lead, and then we're going to have Kid Buu as the friend lead. This Kid Buu here has a couple dupes in him, so we will see how he can do overall. Obviously, we are facing a Majin Buu enemy, but we're going to see, this is a 55% Kid Buu. So we are going to see how this Kid Buu does. 94,000 defense. Obviously, getting a bit of support. We're getting 30% support from the Dabura. Doesn't seem that great, but remember, he is only 55%. It's also important to note he doesn't have any of his strongest links active here. No Majin, no Big Bad Bosses, no nothing. 94k, and then what we'll do is we'll activate his skill, and you can see how that affects him as well. I'll let you guys watch this the first time, and then we'll come back. So yeah, the active skill obviously is something that could really help out. It's a permanent 20% boost, so when you choose it, doesn't really matter too much, but ideally you want to use it as soon as possible just for that flat increase. We can see that his defense obviously got quite a bit better. 2.1 million, really not too bad at all. Looking really solid so far. Obviously, the Goku can technically come out the gate a bit stronger than Majin Buu, but I think Majin Buu definitely has a higher, or Kid Buu I should say, definitely has a much higher peak overall. In terms of Kid Buu himself, there are some important things that I think we do need to mention. So the first thing is, unlike every other version of Majin Buu, he is unfortunately not on the power absorption category, which is the only real downside to Majin Buu that I can see. So I'd like to just confront it right off the bat. Him not being on the power absorption category like every other Kid Buu is a little bit of a bummer, considering every other Buu is on that category, and it's one of the LGEGT challenges where I think this Buu would be fantastic. That's really the only downside I can see. In terms of Buu himself, he looks very, very good. Here we've got him linked up. Defense is sitting at above 150k. He's only fired 1 attack. He does have his active skill active, and we have 5 links. He does share 6 links with this Buu, but obviously Big Bad Bosses is not active yet. So looking really good. Still has quite a bit to build up. 3 more attacks, so can definitely expect that to rise. And he does have 30% support here, so we are looking at a much better situation. 3.7 million kind of shows that as well. Remember, he does have a medium chance of firing another super attack, which is pretty good. He will fire another attack. This now means he's pretty close to being fully built up. He is one attack away from being fully built up. In terms of Kid Buu, two things I think are really good. So first, his medium chance of stunning. Not a lot of Buu units hold utility actually. Only the transformed version of the Buuhan, who's still an incredible unit. He seals, and then we have the Buukalo, who stuns as well, but his link set's not great. So he does bring some really well needed utility to the Buu team, which should make it way better for things like SBR and ESBR, etc. So that's one thing I definitely think we should highlight. The second thing is his 20% HP recovery. It cannot be understated how much health that is. This Buu linked up with another Buu with infinite regeneration, if you have one on each rotation, essentially means you're gaining half your health back. Pretty much around half your health back every single turn, which is unreal. It is an unreal amount of regeneration. It's 3% from the link for each unit, and of course it's the 20% from each unit as well. Over 200k defense, can still build up his attack once more. This is only a 55% unit, by the way, and you remember he raises attack and defense on his super. So here we're pretty close to 5 million, which is really impressive. If you were to fire another super attack or be able to fire another super attack after this, we would probably cross the 5 million mark, which is very impressive. And so Buu's looking really good. Like I said, he takes a little bit of time to build up, but his max is really good. He looks really solid. The nice thing about this kit is there's not too much situational stuff, so all you need to do is possibly build in some crit. I think building in crit onto him is the best option. Additional attacks, he only needs 4 attacks to get up to his max. So, and he automatically launches an additional attack. So he's immediately going to, after 2 turns or being out for 2 rotations, pretty much be at his max. So there's no need to do additionals. I would definitely consider rather doing something like crit. Having crit will enable him to do way more damage and take advantage of the big attack stats that he is going to have. Remember, that was a Buu without Big Bad Bosses active, Big Bad Bosses being a 25% attack and defense buff. So he looks pretty nuts. To be quite frank, he looks pretty disgusting actually. In terms of his link set, that's kind of where he falls down. That's probably only his second real weak point. And like I said, the nice thing is in terms of his passive, by the way, here we can see we have 118,000. We're going to use the active skill again. But like I was saying, in terms of his passive, he does have +3 key. That +3 key is going to help him out a lot compared to other Majin Buu units, because the reason you don't really use other Majin Buu units is because a lot of their key comes from having the Majin link. Majin link is their only real key link that he has. It's a 2 key link once it gets link leveled up. Very good link, but it is the only one that they have. When you have a unit that has +3 key, however, you don't really need to be too concerned about key links. So infinite regeneration, Majin, both of those go out of the window, and you don't necessarily need them to run him. Then you're looking more at just having something like Big Bad Bosses active and Fierce Battle, and you basically are halfway to where you want to be with him, which is really good. I think it's a really impressive thing overall. So yeah, his limited link set isn't as big a hindrance to him as it is to other Buu units, and so you can pretty much use him on any team, even if you just want to use him as a floater. The nice thing about him is his defense can get up to a very high standard, and not having something like defense reduction isn't as big a deal to him because of that 20% health regeneration. So that ability to regen 20% health is really good, and it helps you out a lot. I mean, with such a big team, that's why they gave him the 170% HP bonus on his leader skill, because 170% HP means they have a large amount of health. It means you can take a 200-300k super and you'll recover almost all of it. That's kind of the appeal of the Majin Buu team. It's that ability to recover all the damage you take, and with units like Kid Buu who can now reach 400, 500k defense with a rainbow unit and with their supers and everything, it is pretty possible. So yeah, it's definitely an upgrade for the Majin Buu team. I definitely think it's a good step in the right direction. And they didn't, 4.2 million, very good. They didn't stray away from making him still a Majin Buu unit, which I think is very good. They didn't try and give him a different link set or anything like that. They just put Ki in his passive to try and remedy him on other teams, and they just let him be a Majin Buu unit. I do like teams like the Majin Power team where the units are built, their link synergy is a big part of their power, because it just makes sense to me, especially with units like Majin Buu, with things like that. I think it's very, very good. So for me, I just really, really enjoy seeing teams like the Majin Buu team, seeing them thrive, seeing them get good new units, because it actually really helps the rest of the team. Similarly, when Strength transforming, Super Buu gets his Easy A down the line, it's going to be a huge buff for the whole team overall. It's going to be a tremendous buff, because I'm hoping they give him some kind of support for the category. They'll beef up all the stats. It'll be very, very good, and the whole team will benefit because they all have such great synergy. And so for me, the Kid Buu is very, very good, and I really like what he brings to the table. I like what he does here, and I think overall it's just something that's good for the team and good for the category and just good for the game. I think Kid Buu's a very solid, awesome unit, and I think he's almost already underrated in some sense. I feel people already almost underrate this unit. He could be even better. We got 272,000 defense here. This is a 69% unit, so this is with a 1 dupe. He's looking very solid. He still has 1 more attack to build up, I believe, so after this he would be fully built up. But we're going to see a pretty nuts attack stat here, 5 million. Crazy. And Big Bad Bosses is still not active, so this guy still has quite a big power creep to go, and he could still get even better. So I think he's almost already underrated. I think people undersell this unit. I think obviously Goku is very good, but I think Goku's more immediately impactful, whereas Majin Buu is the kind of unit that after 2 or 3 turns you're going to see. And I just think maybe it's the difference because of the teams or things like that, that maybe he's not getting the same recognition. Goku's teams and Goku himself, being a Saiyan unit, generally just has better options at his disposal. But Kid Buu is very good, and he looks very good, and I think he's fantastic. So in terms of his links, obviously Majin, Brutal Beatdown, More Than Meets the Eye, Big Bad Bosses, Infinite Regeneration, The Wall Standing Tall, and Fierce Battle, all very powerful links, very strong links, very good links, all doing a lot of good work across the board. It's just important to take note, that a lot of them get a lot better at level 10. Majin gives you 2 Ki at level 10 and 5% extra attack and defense. Brutal Beatdowns, 5% extra attack. More Than Meets the Eye is an extra 10% defense. Big Bad Bosses is a flat 25% attack and defense from start of turn basically, instead of being below 80% health. Infinite Regen is an extra 10% defense and 2 Ki. Wall Standing Tall is an extra 5% reduction, is an extra 5% attack, and then Fierce Battle is also an extra 5% attack. You're going to see a lot of Majin units here. It's unavoidable that Majin units are going to be his best linking partners, but there are some interesting options like Second Form Cell, who you can definitely link him with over time. Definitely a decent option. Like I said, you mainly, if you're not running him on the Majin Buu team, you pretty much only have to activate the Big Bad Bosses link, and maybe you can activate Fierce Battle as well, or Brutal Beatdown, or Wall Standing Tall. You don't need to activate a lot, you don't need to bring a lot to the party. If he's not on a Majin Buu team, just get him Big Bad Bosses, get him Fierce Battle, and he'll pretty much be operating at the same capacity. Now, whether the other unit will be is a different question, because obviously they won't be activating any key links, but Majin Buu, or Kid Buu I should say, will be pretty much carrying the workload anyway, being such a stellar unit. But yeah, you can see, as I mentioned, that Tech Supreme South Kai Buu, he's definitely the number one option for him. They share 6 links. He's a little bit outdated. I do have a review on him. He's a little bit outdated, but he still is quite decent, and he'll definitely be a good pairing partner for most players. For the majority of content, just maybe not the super hard content. But that being said, being placed in the second slot behind a 500k Kid Buu kind of helps him out anyway. So yeah, I think, you know, he's got a lot of options. And yeah, just in terms of other linking partners and things like that, you know, the tech transforming Buu here, the, you know, evil Buu and that, they're an okay linking partner with them, but they don't have big bad bosses, which is probably their biggest hindrance when trying to link with Kid Buu or Buuhan or anything like that. So they definitely are an okay linking partner on the Majin Buu team, but not someone you want to link them with full time, I think. At least if you want to get the big buff of big bad bosses activated, you definitely, you know, not going to be able to run them together. And then the other significant one would obviously be the transforming LR. So I do have him, but we'll just look at him here. Transforming LR, especially when he activates his transformation, does actually share a couple good links with him. Majin, big bad bosses, infinite regen, so all the major key links and everything are there, so still very good running partners. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So very, very good unit, and yeah, let me know your thoughts. But if you enjoyed the video, leave a like or leave a comment and I'll try and reply. That's it from me. Bye.